Mikel Arteta describing last night's game as all or nothing. Bit of a rallying call, but were we watching a fragile side again? And if so, what's behind this fragility?
Yeah, John, with that all or nothing quote, he was asked about that just before the match, and he kind of clarified he was just responding to the question. Of course, this is a huge game for Arsenal. But in terms of what he would have seen in response to that general theme, I don't think he would have been too impressed, because it was a really disappointing performance for Arsenal. I think the result was actually fair if you look at the statistics. Yes, Arsenal missed some gilt-edged chances, but so did Prague as well. They go into the away leg now, which is absolutely massive for their ambitions. But even beyond that, I don't think Arsenal are favourites for this competition. Manchester United probably are. Arsenal's hopes of qualifying for the Champions League through the Premier League are pretty much over. And so there are some real difficult decisions coming up for Mikel Arteta, for Edu, the technical director, for the club as a whole. It's a huge summer, and last night would have really sort of underlined a lot of doubts that Arsenal fans have, and they need to be rectified.
Yeah, Keith, Paul Merson has said, also rants to describe his old club, "I just don't see a plan." That's the quote from Merson, languishing in mid-table in the Premier League. Do we agree with that, Keith? Are they lacking a plan, lacking progression?
Yeah, I mean, listen, David knows the club a lot better than me, but having watched Arsenal this season, it feels very similar to Arsenal of the previous seasons as well. From the outside looking in, when I watch Arsenal, what I think is, A, they don't have a plan, but B, what is their starting 11? You looked at the team last night, so many changes from the last match, of course, that awful defeat against Liverpool last weekend that I covered, and you know, it just felt like they lay down to Liverpool that night. So many changes yesterday. We saw the likes of Aubameyang being left out on the bench. I think it said everything that Aubameyang came on for the last 10-12 minutes last night, and he is your talisman. And what was arguably, up to now, their biggest match of the season. Let's be honest, Arsenal aren't going to qualify for the Champions League by doing anything in the Premier League. They're going to have to do it through the back door in the Europa League. So it was a huge match for them last night. And it feels very much, to me, from the outside looking in, more of the same. Arteta doesn't know his starting 11. He doesn't have enough leaders, players taking responsibility on the pitch, and I think that showed again last night.
Yeah, and the dropping of Aubameyang was certainly the most eye-catching change. Now, I want us to take a little listen to what Arteta said about whether he had spoken to his captain since the weekend. Just listen to this.
Did he understand when you explained to him why he wasn't playing? Because it's one of your biggest games of the season and he's not playing.
Well, I cannot talk with everybody individually every week. We try to be as transparent and communicate with the players as clear as possible for them to understand the role of the game that they have. And when he came on, he showed the right attitude and the right commitment.
David, you may not be able to speak to every player every week, but your captain? What did you make of that?
And that, of course, John, comes off the back of him being left out of the North London derby, which was, at that point, Arsenal's biggest match of the season, when he was late to report. You could say that's good discipline on behalf of Mikel Arteta. But this is the captain, the player who's just signed a bumper new contract to become Arsenal's highest paid player. He's their talismanic figure. He's carried them for the last 2 years, and we can't forget that. We also can't forget the impact that he made when he came on last night. He played in a central position, which is clearly his favoured role. At the weekend against Liverpool, he was out wide again. What Keith says there about Arteta not seeming to know his best formation, they're hinting at a lack of communication. There's clearly an issue here that needs to be resolved. There have been some, it's not been a smooth season for Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. He took some leave for personal reasons. He's not produced the form that he sort of had before his new contract. There are people now starting to say, is this a Mesut Ozil Mark II? I don't think it is in that sense. I think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang still has it in him, still has the faith of the manager and the club. But he's 31 years old. Arsenal are going to be looking for new attacking impetus in the summer in some form. If, say, Lacazette is going to leave, they need to try and sign somebody like Emile Smith-Rowe to a new contract. And questions are going to be asked of Aubameyang. And Arteta, I think he's searching for the answers, but he doesn't seem to be finding them at the moment.
Keith, he's been accused of tardiness, of course, mindset issues, Aubameyang, but you've covered the game for a while. Could this just be father time catching up with him? Jamie Redknapp has gone on record as saying he believes it is, that he's just lost his physical potency.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one, isn't it? And David alludes to it there as well. He was playing so well up until he got that new contract. We do see that with footballers all the time. I think given what Aubameyang has done for Arsenal in recent years, the way he's played, the way he's carried the team, you have to give him another opportunity. I mean, listen, he came on for 10-12 minutes last night and he still set up the goal for Pepe that put Arsenal in the lead. I was watching the match, and when Pepe scored, terrific goal by the way, to put them 1-0 up, you thought that's enough to probably see them through to the next leg. And he just switched off for that last couple of seconds at the back. But I just think it's interesting when you look at Arsenal just now and you see the likes of Aubameyang on the bench. I never think a striker should be captain anyway, but when you see him on the bench and then you see younger players like Kieran Tierney, Saka, Smith Rowe, these are the guys who are stepping up to the plate just now, and these are the players who currently this season are carrying Arsenal. And I think for Aubameyang, he has to be given another chance. He will be given another chance. He's signed that new contract right now. Perhaps he will benefit from some new signings coming in the summer, and it looks as though the manager is going to have to wield the axe. He has looked frustrated post-match in his last couple of games, and it will be a really, really interesting summer if you're an Arsenal supporter. But I must say, having watched the game last night, and I've watched a lot of Slavia Prague this season, I still think Arsenal will qualify for the semi-finals despite that late goal going in towards the end from Slavia.
And David Keith there talking about wielding the axe this summer. Unai Emery was at Arsenal for 18 months. Arteta has been there now for nearly 16 months. Is that the way it will go? Do you expect Arsenal to stick with Arteta and it'll be a refresh in terms of new arrivals?
Yeah, I do. And many people have pointed to Arteta having an inferior record to Unai Emery, to also Arsene Wenger towards the end of his reign. But these are very different circumstances. I'm not apologising for Arteta. He's not done everything right, but equally he's inherited a lot of problems. He is at the centre of a new era for Arsenal that they hope will come to fruition and improve over time. They are building the project around him. The technical director, Edu, the owners, the Cronkies, they hope that in time and with transfer markets, plural, that Arteta will prove to be the right man for him, for them. He clearly needs different players, rejuvenated players. He needs to keep building that squad in a way that is moulded to his desire. Otherwise, it's not going to work for Mikel Arteta. He appears to be a really good coach. From people we speak to, he's very highly rated. But I think Arsenal have a lot of work to do in the transfer market. They have some expiring contracts. David Luiz this summer, Alexander Lacazette the summer after. Some really big decisions to make across the team. And they need to get them right. The time is running out, the patience is running out. But in terms of Arteta, no, I think he's at the centre of what they're doing, and their faith is fully behind him.